Actually, all right, before we get started, I'm just going to do a quick disclaimer. The information shared in this video is for illustrative purposes and entertainment only. It's not to be taken as financial advice or recommendation. We're doing these videos for fun and to share general information only. The Pangolin and Pulsar teams both strongly encourage all of our DGens and ape friends, whether you're new or experienced, to do your own research, get proper tax advice before making any investment decisions, and please, please only invest what you can afford to lose. Crypto, DeFi, and GameFi, NFTs and everything are still high-risk investments. Pangolin is an investor in Pulsar, and I think that's just important to know. Stay safe and have fun. With love, the Pangolin team. And on that note, I think we can probably get started with some quick introductions. We have today with us Pulsar, who is an innovative GameFi project. It's an MMO RPG game. They will be going live in the not so distant future. They are launching with a very unique, innovative subnet model. And today we have the official Pulsar team here and their fearless leader, AJ Martin, up on the stage.
Hey, how you doing? So as a quick intro, I'm Alvaro Martin, CEO of Pulsar. I've been in the video game industry for almost 20 years, creating bespoke engines and technology tools also, to be able to scale up teams and develop super fast and be able to do live operations in millions of players. And I'm kind of starting this adventure with ex-colleague of the industry that we had good relationship between the latest years. And here we are to try to innovate as much as possible for the next wave of crypto games. Garrison, are you around?
I am. Hey everyone, my name is Garrison. I'm Pulsar's de facto social media intern. I also head marketing for the project. My background, 2 decades in consumer tech. I used to work for Meta, leading their growth and marketing, and most previously worked in gaming for some companies like Glue and Zynga, Blizzard Activision, primarily mid to more casual titles, but a little bit of AAA as well. Super excited to be here with you.
Wow. And I'm Steven, head of strategy here at Pangolin. I know AJ and I have met before, but Garrison, it's a pleasure to meet you too. That's fantastic. That's an epic background, and I'm really glad to see such amazing marketing talent coming into the space.
Thank you. Great to meet you too.
Awesome. Yeah, so we have a few questions prepared today, and I think what we'll do is kind of rattle through some top line just to get everyone in the community aware of what's going on with Pulsar. And from there, we can kind of dive into some more DJing conversation and any questions that might follow. Does that sound like a good plan for you guys?
Perfect.
All right.
That's perfect.
So we already kind of started by underscoring with some background about Pulsar. It's being developed by the team here with 12 random worlds. Maybe first what we could do is just talk about the vision and how it sort of came to be. I always love to hear the inception stories, and I know there's a lot of colleagues that have known each other for a long time, but at what point did you sort of decide to go all in on Pulsar?
Yeah, probably everything started with the struggle of trying to pitch Web3 games to previous companies. Yeah. And after that struggle, we decided, okay, let's go all in, and do our own thing. Because when you try to pitch this kind of new investments and products to big companies, they are very slow to take decision. They are very comfortable doing what they do, and they forget to invest in innovation, or they consider innovation in another avenues, So, so before we started doing the market research, we were just sitting down, okay, what to do here, right? And we were very enthusiastic about RTS. We played a lot of RTS, AAA and not AAA, my adventure with RTS started with Settlers, so very old game. Yeah, I remember to be playing multiplayer in the same machine with 2 mouse. Yeah. So, and after that, of course, StarCraft, Command and Conquer, Red Alert. Lately, the Total War Warhammer, and man, for me it was very clear. Like, hey, the first step you always do in those games are it's mine. You mine resources. Why we don't mine those resources using NFTs? Yeah, that is your mining rig. And yeah, then we did the market research. We discovered that the StarCraft is still with 2 million competitive players. Majority of them, they do cooperative, yeah. And a minority that is super active is doing still one-on-one, so 2 versus 2, yeah. So, okay, we quit our games, our game companies, and we built the first in-game footage in like 3 weeks, working part-time. We passed it around to our ex-colleague, hey, this is what are we doing? And they were quitting their jobs. And with high salaries also, and working in projects and companies that were building Game of Tsushima, Rainbow Six, Call of Duty. They all of them said, okay, RTS, Unreal Engine 5, fuck it and let's go. That's the story.
I love it. That's amazing. Yeah, I've always wanted to see more like true, like, real-time strategy games showing up in crypto. I think we all are lovers of idle games, but I think we're also very ready for that, AAA vibe and real multiplayer games to come live. So what's next with Pulsar? Like, what's coming down the pipeline with like minting, game launch, and like the beta?
I can share a little bit more on that. So we're working really hard to get this game into the hands of players. To kind of tack on to what Alvaro said about why I joined the team is I've been in and around and part of a lot of play to earn and GameFi projects, but Pulsar is one of the first ones that has like seriously prioritized getting the product into the hands of people above all else, above marketing, above hyping the game, above releasing content. We are almost the entire team here is game design and development, which means I work insane hours to make sure that we get the word out there. But we're backing out our kind of sprint schedule from this October 15th launch date, which means in the next couple of weeks, we're going to be launching the beta. We're going to be getting the V1 off-chain version of the game into the hands of actual players, just sort of our team and investors, but into the hands of the people who are on this AMA and sort of winning the beta passes. We'll be airdropping beta passes to players as well. These are unique NFTs, one of 150. So if you get a chance, participate in our community event so that you can win one and play the game. Throughout September, we'll be minting. More news on the exact schedule of when mints will be going live, but players will be able to mint their mint pass, which can then be redeemed for land NFTs, can be redeemed for starter units, or if you don't get a mint pass, you can always mint one of these other NFTs directly on those mint dates themselves. And look out for the beginning of October as well, when we'll be doing early release gameplay trailers, as well as live streaming that October 15th release once it's done.
Very cool. And like, for anyone after this AMA, definitely check out the pinned tweet on Pulsar for their early gameplay trailer. The video slaps. All right. So like you mentioned the beta access that people can get now by dipping into the Discord and engaging with the Twitter content. When it comes to the land sale and like just like tokenomics in general, how does it all work? How does it come together?
Yeah, so I thought for a moment we lost Garrison. No, it's still there. It's still. So yeah, basically we want to ensure organic ways of deploy the token of Pulsar. Yeah, so more people playing, more active they are playing, more Pulsar is out there. Yeah, so what we do is start with the Pulsar in the land, not in a state that is not minted, not mined, right? So when you use your NFTs and you extract the different resources of the land, depending on the security rating and the rarity of the land, you're going to have different resources available. In this case, Pulsar is the most powerful resource, a source of energy. So you need to mine with the Pulsar miners, which they have special tools for it, and then you deposit into the refineries. The refineries are the ones that are transforming raw Pulsar into the token. Yeah. So in that way is how we generate an organic liquidity for the token. Actually, our strategy with this, instead of put tons of millions of Pulsar in the market available for the people, what we are doing in our strategy is first we are going to release a subset of our game, focusing mining. Then a subset of the builders' gameplay to generate the liquidity of NFTs, so using the resources you previously mined. And then we are going to have a bit of fun for Christmas. That give us like around 3-4 months for the people that are going to participate in those starter minting NFT drops. Before we start acquiring Web2 users, because ultimately, whatever you are going to generate, Pulsar or NFTs, the Web2 players is what they are going to see in the store of the game to be able to buy. So with that, we generate a healthy pressure in the token and constant. So in a way, your land is where free-to-play players are going to start if you open the land. Is the place where you are going to share resources with your teammates in your guild, and is the way we generate the liquidity of Pulsar token. And in that way is how we expect an organic growth instead of a flood of liquidity around in the game that will be very difficult to maintain the price. This is the third time I'm participating, creating an economy like this one. And man, we are really excited to put our theories in practice really soon and be there before the next bull run starts.
I'll add a little bit more to that. I'm assuming that everyone on the spaces has listened, has looked at the light paper that we released on Sunday. If you haven't read that light paper, I highly encourage you to go take a look. We do discuss a few more details about how land works, on how the tokenomics works, and specifically how Pulsar is extracted out of the land. But I'll talk a little bit more about that right now, and I'll preface that with the inspiration behind Pulsar was taking a classic RTS game like a StarCraft and combining it with a massively multiplayer online world. We'll use, say, World of Warcraft as an example. The stages of the game, as Alvaro mentioned, can be loosely thought of as 3 distinct stages. The first one being the first 15 minutes of a StarCraft match, right? You are popped into a match, you're popped into land, you have your starter units, you have your resources, but there's nothing to do except to extract resources. And at the very beginning of Pulsar, that's a lot of what it's going to feel like. We're going to give our players access to the land, access to their starter units on chain, and they're going to be the ones developing that world for other players to play in. There will be PvE, right? So there's going to be a little bit more interaction than what you would expect out of the first 15 minutes of StarCraft. But the beauty of it is that you as the early players will be developing that resource and NFT liquidity, so that when we open the game up to free to play at the beginning next year and acquire a bunch of Web2 users, we are going to be acquiring a customer base for our existing players to sell all of their Pulsar and all of their NFTs to. The best way to think about Pulsar is underneath all of the GameFi, right? It is actually a 2-sided marketplace between Web3 and Web2 users, not terribly unlike what you would expect out of the real money auction house for Blizzard's World of Warcraft. We as the game team are trying to create a product that is really fun for free-to-play users so that they want to buy in-game items and boosters and skins and assets, except instead of buying it from us, they'll be buying it from you. All the people who have already gotten into the game, have used their initial NFTs to mine resources from the land, who can own land so that you can allow free-to-play players to mine on your behalf so you can tax them. And that's the way that we're going to create this really exciting, sustainable economy. The last thing on Pulsar that's really important to know is, instead of doing a traditional kind of coin offering or coin sale or token sale, we've intentionally embedded the liquidity of Pulsar for our players into the land. This does a couple of things. One, to what Alvaro said, it makes the liquidity of Pulsar in the market proportional to the amount of players and the amount of time those players spend playing the game. And that's really important because it prevents a small group of people from causing a ton of inflation by staking a bunch of tokens or by staking their NFTs. And this is about as close as you can get to quote unquote like real yield, right? Which is kind of like a little bit more popular in DeFi, but we're taking this kind of real yield concept to GameFi. The second is that it provides a price floor for your land NFTs, because there's actual Pulsar tokens embedded in there, and so it's a bit of a price protection mechanism. So we can keep the value of the land NFTs within a band to protect the investors and the players.
That's very interesting. You kind of touched on like some of the bonding curves that are mentioned in the light paper, and maybe we can come back to that. But what I wanted to ask about immediately, that you touched on a lot of really cool elements of Pulsar, and I think free to play is the standard in a lot of the Web 2 world when you're downloading an app, or sometimes not with like AAA games. But I think it's really interesting to see people finally pioneering free to play models. Would you like to expand on exactly how that works, and the opportunity it creates for Pulsar players getting involved?
Yeah, so the free to play model is at a high level, the way that we think about free to play versus pay to play is we want to have 80% of our players come from a free to play kind of on ramp. That means that eventually we want to monetize them, right? Like let's be very clear. We're still here to create a AAA game. We're still here to monetize that revenue base, but they should not have to pay in order to play the game. And what this does is removes a ton of friction. You lower the barrier to entry so a bunch of people can try the game, and you eventually can sell them stuff and make money off them. The second piece of removing that friction is to attract Web 2 players by not requiring wallets and not requiring wallet configuration. You can absolutely still choose to take custody of your assets in your own wallet from day one, but we know that Web 2 players aren't necessarily going to want to or know how to do that, right? And so in order to tap into that revenue base in a way that other play-to-earn projects haven't done, we're removing that friction from the process. Free-to-play players, when they start, they won't own NFTs, right? So they don't own any on-chain assets. They will be using a unique version of miners and starter units that they do not own, and they will be either loaning is a misnomer here, but they will be loaning land from the game treasury or mining on land that other players own, that you can mark as open if you're a landowner. A portion of the assets and resources they generate, whether it's Pulsar or another resource, is taxed by the landowner, and eventually the free-to-play player will generate enough resources that they're able to then create on-chain assets, whether it's the on-chain version of the refined resource, or they're actually crafting an NFT and they now own this on-chain asset and they can sell it in the marketplace or continue to play with it, eventually progressing into owning a bunch of on-chain assets and having their game experience not be terribly unlike what you would get if you had minted those units or minted that land in the first place. These free-to-play players, similar to any other free-to-play loop, they can always buy on-chain assets as part of their experience. We're going to allow them to purchase Pulsar or purchase other things using their credit card, and then they can participate in the marketplace with Web3 players so that they can use fiat currency to purchase in-game items from other players. And that's the way that we're going to create this kind of marketplace, as well as expose a really large portion of our revenue base to to currency that isn't crypto. And this is good, even though it sounds a bit weird for a Web3 game, but this is good because it adds a layer of stability by reducing our revenue exposure to just crypto, and it also creates a revenue opportunity for our players that is anchored in fiat. And we're going to use that to kind of buffer and protect the economy as well.
That's very.
Someone asked me in Twitter, I think it fits in the current conversation, where is going to, I mean, at the end, when think about that, when the user are going to buy with fiat, the free-to-play users in any game gems, yeah, in our case, Pulsar, you need to think about that is going to come from one place, right? One of those places, the main place will be Pangolin. Yeah. So when they are going to buy, what they are effectively doing is a kind of market buy, and is how they acquire those tokens. Yeah. So that is how we generate that healthy pressure. Those free-to-play players are going to obtain Pulsar, yeah, and then they can go to the store and buy from you again the NFT you crafted. Yeah.
Yeah, there's billions of people around the globe that are playing games, but only a small percentage have already onboarded into Web3, and it's really healthy for a game like Pulsar to have the biggest possible total addressable market, and this just really opens up the door and puts the incentive
it's a way
on.
that it's a way. I just wanted to say, sorry to interrupt.
Oh yeah, go ahead. What were you saying?
Exposure to a seamless way, so they don't realize that they are interacting with the blockchain, but they are doing it every day. Yeah. So that's how we plan this, with that 80% of like a ratio 80-20, that 80% are free to play users. Really? Okay.
Makes a lot of sense, and I think
hopefully now it's better.
Yeah, it sounds a little better. It just chopped out for like 1 second here or there, so it wasn't very bad at all. Sounds good now. I think an incentive on players to sort of like fully onboard into Web3 once they've sort of like accumulated more assets too. Is that maybe a good mental model for how that works?
I think so.
Very cool. Yeah, so like there's this very interesting thing that you guys are, I think, doing very correct by starting off by launching the mining part of the game. This allows you to bootstrap liquidity for the like ERC20 fungible tokens and create highly liquid markets for that, as people are starting to then build and create the NFTs, and then you start to have like a more robust market of different NFTs before drumroll combat comes out, full MMO strategy, massively multiplayer online game kind of drops in its like fully featured state. That makes a lot of sense. When it comes to like the actual like land though, like there's a lot of different resources underground, Pulsar being the most important. It's kind of like time is sort of what I've read from the light paper, like as if time was turned into a token. But what land do you think like people should be like focusing on in like the early part of the game, or like what's the right mental model for thinking out the different types of land resources so people who are in the game can like strategize?
Yeah, so if you want to focus in mining and building, like we tend to think that in the future people are going to have as a normal job be a gamer, yeah, and you need to kind of invest in your rig, right? So we are going to offer 3 types of security ratings and rarities. Yeah. So From a starter, if you don't have too much money, obviously go for low security rating and common resources. Yeah, that will be kind of enough to start your little operation. Yeah, but this game is designed to play with others. Yeah, so if you don't want to be bothered with a wave of aliens, yeah, and fight the aliens, and you want to focus in the first stages of the game to mine and craft NFTs for the incoming Web2 players, then you should go and acquire rare land which has high security. Yeah, then with that you are not going to be bothered, and you can be 24 hours with your guild, with your people, playing the game, extracting those resources. Yeah, so in the with the mint pass, I would say is the best way to acquire those lands and units, because it's implicit in the voucher that you're going to have. Imagine that you spend, I don't know, I will say something super crazy. Yeah, you go with the 100k Admiral mint pass. Yeah, and with that you have 15% discount, and then with that you acquire also the Genesis motherships and units and so on. So you're going to get, is the unique way you're going to get those NFTs with buff, yeah, on them. So you're going to be more fast. So those are designed to be really profitable, yeah, in the mid long term. Actually, it's so profitable that in the first year you have more than 100% of Pulsar back, yeah. And the next year is just you have the mining rig, so you just need to acquire more land. The NFTs will be the same, yeah, because as you invested on that, you're going to be able to, of course, to reduce it and grow the level of them, yeah. Yeah, I think that I hope I answered the questions.
Definitely. And then like when we get further down the line to like, full combat, I'm really curious for the way that you'd suggest the community thinks about, like compared to something like StarCraft, where, you might be like mining for the first like 15 minutes or so. Like Garrison said, when you have a game that's running 24/7, I'm just really curious, like how that works with this whole sleeping thing people do for part of the day.
Yeah, that probably will be stressful. So we are not going to open PvP yet, just to give time for the people to craft their war machines and be ready. So if so, the PvE will be implicit, depending on the security rate. You're going to receive waves of aliens, yeah, and depending how much deeper you go into the earth, we call it dungeons, yeah. So you're going to be have more activity there of fighting, yeah. But you need to think about that we cannot craft the games today like in the past. So you stated that properly. Like in a StarCraft game, you have 15, 30, 45 minutes games, which are kind of very challenging and require all your attention. Yeah. In our case, those are going to come more in game modes the next year. Yeah. So what we are going to do is first be sure that we craft properly the part of the MMO. Yeah. And what I mean with this, the early stages, you're going to be in calm mining your stuff. Then you will be in calm crafting your NFTs, yeah, and then you're going to have a bunch of mission, and you will opt in to do those missions in a cooperative way with your friends, yeah, and we'll see if we drop some PvP for the end of the year, yeah. But what is clear is that the next year we are going to move on and have leagues, tournaments, weekly events, monthly events, and so on. Yeah, dropping part of the story of the game, so the people are able to play the MMO part, and they opt into I upgraded my units. Now I'm more powerful. I want to measure myself against others. Yeah. So bear in mind that normally those games are since years in the market. So and the micro and the macro of the matches are very well thought during many years. So we'll take a time. We expect that it will take a time until we have those kind of feelings. That's why we are going to move it to 23, because we'll require tons of testing to be able to have that fun. Yeah. Nevertheless, we know by the numbers that most of the people like to play either the missions or they like to play cooperative. Yeah, and only a small subset is going to play the competitive. Yeah, so the competitive at the end, of course, will be also very profitable because we are going to have prize pools and these kind of things. Yeah, but give us time. It's just what I want to say. We are crafting the game in a very open-minded way. In a very Garrison leaked the content when he can. So just give us time to reach those PvP high-profile level to have tons of fun. But yeah, keep in mind, MMO is one game mode, yeah, and the matches, tournaments, and whatnot will be another game mode that is going to drop the next year.
For the people who have seen the trailer, the gameplay that you saw was a PvE mission, and so for the next like 4 or 5 months, for the rest of 2022, expect that your gameplay is going to be sort of this expansion on top of PvE missions where you are extracting resources as you're kind of playing an enclosed match, which should feel very much like a StarCraft match. But the mobs that you are fighting are computer generated and computer controlled, and you're partnering with your friends and team members to extract resources while you're defending your land and your structures from those mobs. Of course, you are also entering sort of these underground portions of your land in order to also kill aliens and access resources as well. But that's going to be the gameplay experience. And to Alvaro's point, it's a bit of an interesting development with a game like this, because the way that our player base develops and the decisions that you all choose to make is going to dictate how quickly we enter that PvP phase, right? If a ton of people choose to amass resources and to build and expand their empires and not really get into the construction or ownership of battle units, we will want to wait until we get a large enough player base to really activate PvP. Otherwise, there's not enough people to fight. So it's this kind of like interesting like living thing that we're going to be managing for the next 6 to 12 months as we get into that final build phase of the game.
It's alive. So it probably goes without saying, but the whole game probably wouldn't be possible with this amount of like complexity and it's just very nuanced as a full MMO strategy game. You guys, like Pulsar, decided to do this with the power of subnets, and I was just kind of curious to give you a platform to kind of talk about how that decision was made. I think this wouldn't be possible without subnet infrastructure.
Yeah, actually, I think Garrison, I think we dropped the Avalanche subnets interview, right? But to resume here, the decision cost me like almost 1 year, past year, researching and talking with different blockchains, yeah, about which solution they have, how to achieve. I did a huge document. I mean, it was a full headache first to have answers, and secondly to think how to do it. Yeah, because think about the sandbox problem. They were moving to Matic to make it faster and more cheaper, if you think about it. But still, imagine every transaction in the game stopping you to do something. It's not possible to do those kind of things with the layer ones or even the layer twos that are kind of designed for DeFi. Subnets allow us to have tons of speed, isolation from the noise of the big layers, yeah, and control the machines have our own token as a gas token, yeah? And as is our gas token, we can manage things for you, yeah? So in the moment that you go to able to open the treasury account without paying thousands and thousands of dollars, or even putting that hassle and burn into the player's wallet, you know. So the experience of because will allow you to don't differentiate a Web 2 game from a Web 3 game. Everything will be managed for you, and in the moment you want to take ownership of your assets, you go to your profile, you put it on your wallet, and that's it, you know. And that is not possible if either you fork or you copy a blockchain or you use the subnets.
Yeah, I think it's the only way to make this truly work. I think subnets are like the promised land for GameFi, and I'm really excited to see Pulsar innovating.
Totally.
Cool. And if anyone has any questions, by the way, feel free to raise your hand, and we'll pass you the mic for a sec to jump in. But high level, I'm personally extremely excited for the beta game to launch, and high level the graphics are just incredible. You mentioned Red Alert before, and I've just been doodling Tesla coils, those like Christmas tree looking like things that like zap people with electricity. But if you check out the spider tanks and everything, like the graphics from Pulsar are just sort of next level, and the amount of like thought that's gone into it is really just impressive. Do you guys have like an extra like 2 or 3 minutes, like just to kind of continue talking about more advanced features?
Of course.
Yeah. Garrison?
Make sure I was respecting your time because we might have already gone a little over. But I remember, AJ, you talked a little bit about the way you were thinking about security, and this might be down the road and like something that'll be refined over time. But I just thought it was I wanted to put you on the spot to talk about it a little bit more.
Sure.
You really impressed me when I learned about how that security mechanism worked, and I thought it'd be really cool for the community just to really see behind the scenes and into the mind of the creator here. You were talking about how security in Pulsar was this you could almost pay with your Pulsar to have protection for some time, and there's this idea of sort of like a police that's protecting you more so in more regions. Would you mind kind of expanding on that and the motivation?
Okay, let's reveal stuff. The security rating of the land. Yeah, you have high security until none, right? So one of the concepts on the table is have a kind of police. Right now we are debating if we provide it or we wait for the players to provide it. Yeah. So think about that. You are going to have a bunch of. Let's move forward to 23. Yeah, and in 23 you are going to have wave of aliens. Yeah, and depending on your actions when you are digging in the dungeons, when you break a wall, trying to search for new spots to mine and whatnot, there is a kind of logic behind. I cannot reveal everything, but there's a kind of logic that aliens are going to go out. Yeah, so you have two options: or you have war machines to protect yourself. Yeah, or you have a kind of artificial intelligence police that is going to jump in and defend you after some second pass. Yeah, we want that it's the players. So we like to provide the tools for the players. So what I mean with this, so imagine that you are focusing mining and your guild is full mining and crafting NFTs. Yeah. So what is going to happen is, hey, the best resources either are on the low security areas, or I need to do a mission to acquire new resources and this kind of thing. Yeah. So you have two options. As I said, you provide the war machines and you defend yourself, or you hire another person to do that job. Yeah. So we want that the players, they specialize. Yeah. And when they specialize, they can offer their services. So we define this as miners, builders, and warlords as a concept of player profiles. But in between, you have a distribution layer and a security layer. Yeah. So what I mean with that, imagine that you level up your refineries at maximum level. Yeah. And you are very efficient refining stuff. And for whatever the reason, you have a little refinery and you want more throughput. You can hire someone to refine your stuff. And then you make a deal with them. And, hey, I give you 5% of whatever refine, but I get the rest. So if your refinery will only refine 50%, then this guy is going to refine 99%, for instance, is more profitable in that way. And the same thing happened with the security rating and defending yourself from PvP or PvE. Yeah. So it's like, hey, if I need to invest tons of my time or tons of dollars in defend myself, why don't hire a player that is in my line patrolling and doing that work for me, right? So we are debating right now if we provide the AI to patrol and do for you that stuff, or if we put it on hands of the players. Yeah. My gut feeling is better in the hands of the player because it will be fun, and then you create for them some extra revenue. But we'll see. We'll see.
It's really funny because you can tell that we've pulled in some of these like classic gaming concepts. I don't know if there's any like RuneScape players in here, but every time Alvaro explains the refineries, all I can think of is people paying other people to trim their armor. The, the beauty of a complex game like Pulsar is that you create all of these dependencies, and it's a complex enough game where we really don't want one person to be good at all things. And even if you are someone who is minting an insane amount of NFTs, you can still choose to specialize in the portion of the economy that you think is going to be the most valuable. And it may or may not be depending on the decisions that other players make, right? You might choose to level up your refineries over leveling up your miners or leveling up your combat capabilities. And directionally, we understand how the game balance is going to go. And, so we'll be a little bit hush-hush about kind of what we think is going to happen. But because the economy is so complex, and like you were saying, it is a bit alive with all the players that are going to be coming on and making their own decisions. These dependencies will kind of create like sort of smaller sub marketplaces for services and goods, which I think is super fun.
I love it. You're kind of holding back some of the alpha there, I can tell, but I'll let you get away with that. You guys already shared quite a lot. So I feel like the big opportunity for everyone is like trying to get into the mint passes and be able to participate in the beta. And I feel like that's the way to get involved early and kind of like dare I say refine your strategy in advance. What do you think the best ways for people to really get involved? Like following this video. Maybe some people will be watching this like in the coming weeks as well. So do you have any recommendations for the community, like action items?
Follow us on Twitter. We will be releasing beta passes for random engagement. I spend a ton of my time just memeing and interacting with the community, and so get up there, ask us questions. We are, I think a lot of projects these days are prioritizing transparency, but we certainly are. So ask questions, we'll answer questions, we'll be handing out beta passes so that you can get involved and play the game in the next couple of weeks. But we will also be launching our Discord the third week of August, and we again encourage players to come in and seriously like poke holes, ask us questions, ask us about the economy. Our team isn't shy about explaining the known quantities, and we're also not shy about explaining the things that we don't know or that are in development. And look for the minting schedule. Like you said, I encourage every player to mint a mint pass, which is effectively a voucher. It's a store of value for the dollars that you want to commit towards the game. And you lock in a minting spot with that pass, and you also lock in a discount to incentivize our players to do this, right? To sort of support us up front. We're giving the mint passes that you hold are an NFT, and they will allow you to have a locked-in discount on all future mints forever, even when the value of your voucher is gone. Outside of that, download StarCraft 2, brush up on your RTS skills, because I will tell you right now, my APM and my micro is absolutely horrid, and I know that when the game comes out in October, I'm going to be a little bit rusty.
Don't threaten me with a good time. Very good. Well, if there aren't any questions, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you guys and getting that alpha leak from the Pulsar squad. Is there anything else you guys wanted to end with?
Yeah, I think we're going to have to come up with a fun little competition to earn Pangolin skins of the game, because those were a lot more popular than I expected. I leaked those yesterday,
Yeah.
and everyone was DMing us asking how they get the skins. So we might actually have to put some of those into the hands of the players.
That is everyone stay tuned for more from the Pulsar Pangolin partnership. There'll be a lot of cool things coming from our camp. So we're really excited to double down on Pulsar and growing the community there. That's what we're all about here at Pangolin.
Amazing.
Great, man. So yeah, stay tuned for skins. Suddenly became very expected, so we are going to do something cool. I'm totally sure. We just need to give us a bit of time to do a bit of brainstorming and engage with the communities. That for sure. We are going to create new skins for the people.
Cool. Thanks for that. Well, thank you very much for the time. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting, and we're looking forward to doing more Twitter Spaces together soon.
Yeah, call us, and we are going to be here. Thank you so much for your time. And yeah,
thanks for having us.
Cheers, guys. Thanks everyone for joining.